Hello everybody, I'll be presenting Evernote as an e-portfolio tool. It's a tool I've used for a year and a half myself for professional and also personal use. And it struck me when working with the e-assessment curriculum that Evernote is an excellent tool for the e-portfolio assessment system. So what I'm doing is presenting alternative 2, identify and evaluate software for portfolio assessment. Here we go. The structure of this presentation, it will be split into two films. The first film, which you are watching right now, will concern the background, the reasoning and the theory behind the portfolio thinking. And in light of that, what is the requirements for a software tool supporting digital portfolio? Part 2 is where I will get to the point regarding Evernote. I will be showing some important features by demonstrating how I use Evernote. And I will also be comparing Evernote to traditional LMS systems like isLearning and Fronter, which true enough has systems for facilitating e-portfolio within them, but I will be arguing why Evernote is a better system to work with. It has a greatest chance of success, to put it shortly. So, part 1. What is a portfolio? You all know this by now. What is a portfolio? One of the definitions is a portfolio is a purposeful collection of student work that exhibits the student's reflections, progress, or achievements in one or more areas. The collection must include student participation in selecting contents, the criteria for judging merit, and evidence of the student's self-reflection. One of the many definitions. To sum it up, you have a collection phase, you have a reflection phase, and you have a selection phase, finally, based on this reflection. And the selection is both a selection of what kind of material you want to include and also how you want to improve it. Why portfolio? Why now? It has been underlined as one of the new major forms of assessment first in Stortingsmelding 27/2001, the quality reform of higher education, where the goal was to align the Norwegian higher education system with what they're doing in foreign countries, in the EU and the US and so on. And there, portfolios was mentioned as a new assessment form, where the main goal is to make students active in their own learning, where you can measure higher order skills, the type of skills you want to measure for and to grow in the 21st century, where the everyday life of a student after graduating is quite different from, let's say, 100 years ago, but the critique goes that the schooling system is still aligned to produce students for the working life 100 years ago. So how do we modernize the schooling system? Perhaps by introducing portfolios and other types of assessment, we'll see. Erstad in our curricula says assessment practices both reflect and influence the way we conceive and organize learning. So assessment is not only something you do at the end of something, it's also something that is influenced by how you see learning and how it's constructed. And it goes also the other way around. You construct the knowledge based on how you can assess it. When you had the learning theory of behaviorism, early learning theory based on Pavlov's work, you know, the guy with the dogs that drooled when they heard a bell signalizing food time. Behaviorism translated into learning theory is where you describe the student as a passive receiver, an actant that learns by instinct, so to speak, and it's an empty bucket to be filled up. So learning is something you do passively. In a constructivist learning perspective, the theory is that the student needs to reconstruct the knowledge within them, in their heads. If they just sit there passively, the knowledge is of no value. It has no relevance to the student. The students need to rebuild what they learn. How can you do this? You can, for instance, do it by essays, or perhaps by portfolios. One of the important issues that became very evident during the interviews was the quality of the learning that occurred during the construction of the portfolio. The development of portfolios refined the students' thinking and constantly challenged their beliefs and their learning. This from our curricula as well, stressing the finer sides of a portfolio, how it can influence what students learn, how it can improve learning. Another quote: "There was conclusive evidence that developing digital portfolios were worthwhile learning experiences, and that this learning was both a personal and a technological level." What does this mean? Is that technological level, you learn a lot about technology. When building a digital portfolio, you have to use several kinds of tools. In addition to learning at a personal level, learning metacognition, how you learn best, how you should plan your learning, and so on. What gives value to you? This is something you constantly have to reassess by yourself, and perhaps also by others during such a process. So, what's shortcomings of a paper portfolio? I want to build sort of an argumental chain here, going from normal, ordinary paper portfolio to digital portfolio. What's the reasoning behind a digital one as opposed to a paper one? Shortcomings of a paper portfolio, based on individual work, you have sort of a disconnectedness. Also, assessment from others is not included in a systematic way. If you get assessment from others, it's not included in the evaluation. So basically, you are doing this individually. So, entering digital portfolio, the first two very obvious reasons for introducing a digital portfolio is you can use it for storage instead of storing on paper and putting in a folder and in a bookshelf. You can save it on your hard disk, as well as distribute it through web or email or other types of electronic communication. But there's more to come, because as Erstad says, the influence of IT on assessment practices might represent a more fundamental break from potential school practices and student learning if we manage to grasp the full potential of using IT. So there's more, and the next step is not so obvious as storage and distribution. What more can digital portfolio do regarding assessment and how we work? Let's see. Can the possibility of openness given by ICT offer better conditions for self and peer assessment? Could written dialogue, both synchronized and asynchronized, be complementary to oral dialogue and thereby improve reflection? Our empirical data suggest such possibilities. This from a paper by Dystein Engelsen, where they compare portfolio use at two different schools, reporting on how they accomplish this, and they go on to suggest that there's a lot of possibilities. As a method of assessment, the e-portfolio builds independence and learning to learn skills, which are necessary components for the lifelong learner. In other words, you're not finished graduating when you're graduating from school, because in an information economy you need to learn your entire life, else being left at the wayside, so to speak. This is something an e-portfolio can facilitate. You learn to learn. That's more important than learning the facts, as a matter of fact. So, to sum it up, we have the collection, the reflection, and the selection mentioned earlier with the portfolio system. With digital portfolio, we have additionally increased self-assessment. You have increased teacher feedback. The teacher can sort of monitor things all the way, basically, because he has access to the same files that you do. And you can also, in this, increase your self-assessment. In addition, there's a system for peer feedback, because you can include the peer feedback in your own material and then react to it. and it's not very difficult because you have interconnectedness and all this stuff coming with the internet. So we are going from a constructivist learning theory where everything has to happen in your head to a socio-constructivist learning theory where before you can internalize knowledge, you have to build it socially. You have to build it dialogically. So I don't think socio-constructivists deny that there's knowledge constructed inside your brain, but there's also a lot of things happening outside of it, happening in the language, happening, as I said, dialogically. And this is accomplished through a digital portfolio. There's a lot of stuff happening between the students, and they can learn each other's stuff. They can ask questions. You can get questions that you never bothered thinking about yourself from others, and then you have to see things from other perspectives all the time and reconceptualize, so to speak, what you know, based on what you know that the others know, and so on. Several studies show firm evidence that innovations designed to strengthen the frequent feedback that students receive about their learning yield substantial learning gains. This from a paper in our curricula from Black. He has studied literature regarding assessment from 1988 to this day, finding that formative assessment has come to the foreground. Formative assessment, where you are assessed along the way, not summatively, but formatively, in order to better your learning, is a major way of improving the learning. And entering Dystein Engelsen again, the couple who has studied the two schools and how they implemented portfolios, they conclude that portfolios have improved formative assessment. So this goes hand in hand, so to speak. The coming of formative assessment and portfolios and the possibilities around this, they are sort of a pair here. Formative evaluation that actively involves students in their development, as is the case with peer and co-assessment, as well as self-assessment, aims to facilitate the student to achieve autonomous and independent learning. This just to underline what I've just previously said. The four pillars of the e-portfolio, metacognition, authentic tasks, contextual feedback, and student responsibility, seem to clear up some of the principal doubts raised as to the effectiveness of formative evaluation. The same Black here regarding formative evaluation. How can this help us, this type of assessment? So, based on this, what kind of requirements do you have for a tool that can facilitate e-portfolio work and assessment? In my view, it has to enable saving and sharing of many types of files, just not only text files, but also picture, video, graphical files, and so on. Sound files also. It has to have a system for feedback and reflection. You have to be able to enter text feedback from several persons, not only the owner of a given file, but also from other persons. And it has to be easy to use. I mean, 80% of people around, they don't want to read manuals. They don't want to fuss around with making technology work. They just want to work through it. So, before we start with part 2, Evernote, we also have some challenges with digital portfolios that I will keep in mind when presenting Evernote. The challenge which I have just presented, where you learn through or about it. Or the second challenge, mainly on the part of the teacher. The role of the teacher in an e-portfolio system will change. The old sage on the stage system, where the teacher is the know-it-all and the authoritative figure, will change. Teacher has to facilitate for a lot more dynamic in the class, a lot more questions about how to make groups work, and also have a more complex grading at the end, because it's easy to say that something is wrong or correct, but it's not so easy to grade creative work and work where students go where no man has gone before.